That's right. People know David worldwide. 5 o'clock. Great to have you. You missed anything, Odyssey.com rewind. I'm going to get to the phone call shortly, but if you're just hopping in your vehicle at the end of a long day, let me kind of tell you where we've been and what we're doing.
And you got a little cherry on top.
I do. It always provides joy. We are talking a little bit about the Tigers, the over-under 80.5, and I've just said, that's not a barometer for success for me for this season. I mean, they have to make a leap forward. They have to be in that mid-80s conversation. And I said, we did a small topic yesterday. I lamented, I thought they were a shoo-in to take Wyatt Langford in the draft. They took Max Clark, college player, high schooler, guy debuting opening day for the Rangers, guy 2 years away. But now, the other angle was I supported Jim Costa in his quest. Matt Chapman, 3 at 54. Well, they didn't do that either. And we've had Scott Bots call up and do the whole, well, we don't want to block, Young, and we're teaching him third. Let me ask you a question. When a player signs a 1-year deal, are you blocking him?
No.
Well, that's really what Matt Chapman signed. You want the deal points?
Yeah.
Here are the deal points. The two sides agreed on a 3-year, $54 million contract. One problem. Chapman was sure to have his agent get a pair of opt-out clauses. Our goals were to get a long-term deal that we felt was worth it, or if not, get a short-term one with opt-outs and bet on myself. That's Matt Chapman. If I was going to do something long-term, I'm going to get the value I'm worth. The expectation is for Chapman, who will turn 31 in April, to opt out after the first year. So it's really a 1-year, $18 million deal. And your Detroit Tigers thought it better to sign a guy with a broken pelvis and a collection of quad A players at third instead of 1 year of Matt Chapman. Say it again to you.
We'll figure it out.
Sell me this pen. The pen is, sell me the Tigers are trying. Sell me this pen. We'll get to your calls on that. The other angle, we will play the audio at 5:15. But Monty Williams got all angry in his postgame last night. Got their doors blown off by the Knicks. DiVincenzo hits 11 threes. He does his best Jack Golke routine. And Monty's incredulous. Well, then we did a deep dive into the Pistons and their record this year. I mean, they're headed to be 12-70. Maybe they beat the Wizards 13-69. God bless. What a season. One problem. You won 17 last year. Two problems. You won 20 the year prior.
So, Mike, you're a betting man. Would you put money on more Pistons wins or more Celtic losses?
What's the Celtic? I know they lost last night.
I think they're at 15 losses.
Oh, Celtic losses.
Okay.
I think the Pistons might win one more game. Okay. The point I'm making is you comp the last 3 years of the Pistons with the 3 years of the Process Sixers. The Process Sixers had 47 wins. The Pistons have 52. The process openly wasn't trying. Troy Weaver's in year 4 of a rebuild. So we were asking, if this isn't the most embarrassing 3-year franchise run in the history of this town, what is? How is Monty Williams going to keep his job? And how is Troy Weaver going to be allowed to execute a draft and an offseason with $65 million in cap space? We'll get you the sound momentarily. I do want to get to the callers, though. Fair?
Fair.
All right, let's go to Mark, 97.1. Mark, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm excellent. What's up?
Well, first of all, can you put me down as a strong vote in favor of the lion logo with the 2 bars behind it on the helmet? I mean, I'd buy that today. I mean,
you and me both. I'm hopeful.
That would be outstanding.
That becomes the main helmet instead of the Bubbles the Lions helmet.
I love that thing.
I would be all over that. So, like, we're both baseball snobs. I mean, we can do this fan war and fan graph stuff till we're blue in the face. I mean, 2 years select a high school pitcher. You're going to select a high school pitcher when you need bad pass on Mayer. You better be right. Last year, there was a consensus top 3. You're going to take Cruz, and then you're going to take Skeens, and after those guys, it was Langford. And again, if you're going to take a high school over one of those 3 guys, you better be right. And talking about the Pistons, you're talking about the Lions and the Tigers and even the Red Wings. And the one thing that seems to sort of be consistent is we seem to have 4 general managers that are all suffering from this smartest man in the room syndrome. I mean, every one of these guys is, I'm not going to sign or trade for Ladarius Sneed. I'm going to give a 3rd-round pick for a half of a corner that Sneed is. I'm not, they all seem to be, I am going to do things my way. And if you don't trust it somehow, some way, you're like, you're the
right.
enemy. And if you geek out and tell these people that are rooting for the high school kid over the college kid to read the profiles, right? How does Max Clark grade out? What's the profile? Well, the hit tool is there. He might develop into a 15 to 20 home run guy, maybe, but he starts at high A. He doesn't have a ton of power yet. He has to grow into the body. We understand that, but you're drafting an outfielder who's profiling to be maybe a 15 home run guy. You look at Langford. What's the profile there?
35.
Well, the downside, fringy arm. Might only be a left fielder because he can't throw that well. But he's also a potential 30-30 guy.
Yep.
He started at AAA, destroyed AAA, and he makes a World Series roster coming out of camp.
Right.
So guess what, guys? You took Max Clark. You better be right.
I'm with you. No, Mark, that's the frustrating part. And then when you double down on not signing Chapman, and it's like you wouldn't do a 3-year deal with opt-outs after every year, knowing Chapman and Boris's intent is to opt out, and instead I got to look at Gio Urshela and McKinstry and my mom at third base. It's ridiculous.
Well, then you have the Scott bots all yelling, Steve bots, the Harris bots yelling at you, going, well, you don't want to block Jace Young, you don't want, and look at how many Chapman had 180 strikeouts last year. He grades as a 5-WAR player whose OPS is consistently above 800. His best years it was close to 900. I mean, he has a couple of mid 850, mid 800. Close
And he
to
was
900.
hurt last year. I love how Lions fans, many of whom are Tiger fans, will defend Brad Holmes for signing a hurt player, but then Matt Chapman has a down year, and I'm a bleep hole for suggesting you bring him in. Convenient how that works out.
And it makes no sense. I mean, yes, the guy struck out a bunch last year. Plus defender, maybe the best defensive third baseman in baseball, whose OPS grades well above league average. He would probably be, when you watch the games last year, when I was at the games, and you look at the OPS they put up on the big scoreboard, and you're like, there's one guy, we have one player above major league average?
Right.
When Torkelson got there? I mean,
that's Mark, that is absolutely my point in all of this, is that I'm not asking for 10-year commitments. We weren't doing stupid radio. Hey, sign Ohtani for $1 billion. No. This was about tactically getting better in the here and now. And while building for the future. I have no illusions the Tigers will ever hold a top 10 payroll again. I'm not asking for that. But for you as a paying customer, this is still Detroit. This is still a major sports town. For you not to demand a league average payroll, you're $55 million below that. And I can't get them to sign a 1-year prove-it deal for Chapman? I'm drafting high school outfielders over this.
If they took Chapman and Martinez, you're still $22 million below. Each on a 1-year deal. One for 18, one for 12. Yeah. You're still $22 million below.
Right. Imagine this lineup if I did. And again, for all the Kerry Carpenter truthers, I like Kerry Carpenter, but I don't want to rely on him when he didn't hit a home run the last 9 weeks of the year. Imagine the lineup that features what Rico's talking about. Riley Green, Torque, JD, Chapman, Colt Keith, etc., etc. Then we worry about,
you can absorb Javi Baez.
And again, the fact
I wouldn't play him, but you can absorb him.
That is the most dishonest thing this franchise is doing to this fan base. The idea that they are openly just going to start him again, and they're telling you the fact he's so bad, we're just going to put him 9th and hope.
And the fact that the fans you have to play him because you're paying him so much money. No, you don't. You've already made one mistake. You don't have to double down and then say, okay, we're going to play you, and we're going to also have you go out there and do nothing for the team. You serve the team better on the bench. I'm going to let I'd rather see somebody young go out there and just make mistakes because at least I know that you can learn from that. Whereas Javi, man, I think this is it. I think you capped out years ago, and I don't think we're going to ever see you playing the way that you did back in the day. No, I don't see it happening.
Green, Torque, Chapman, JD, Langford, Keith. The pressure it takes off at a bottom three in the order. And I know one of those spots has got to go to the SS Titanic, a.k.a. Baez. Think about what I'm presenting. Mm-hmm. Think about what Scott Harris is offering these people for their hard-earned money. Now, Scott Harris, I hope he's right.
With that lineup to go with the arms that you have.
Right. I think you could win this division.
Yeah.
Now, take the JD thing out. We're just going to go with Carpenter. Okay. Respect. I'm with you. I wanted one of the two. The idea that I can't get Scott Harris.
I just wanted to point out that you could have had them both and still.
It's a great point. It's a great point. Give me just Chapman.
Okay.
I couldn't get them to do that. And you want these people's hard-earned money? We're sitting here looking at an over-under of 80.5 in the worst division in baseball. Mm-hmm. I just think that's so wrong. It's just crazy to me. And yet, I think a lot of people will either be indifferent to it or defend it. I got audio for you. We're going to play it next. You want theater of the absurd? Don't worry. This leaves the Matt Chapman or Wyatt Langford thing way in the distance. I got some audio we'll get to you next. Your phone calls, 97.1.